Morning everyone, my name's Bill Hicks. I'm a client architect from MuleSoft, and I'm going to give you, over the next 30 minutes, an introduction into the MuleSoft Anypoint Platform. So, just before I start, obviously I have the obligatory safe harbor statement. Just to remind you that you should make purchasing decisions based on products and services that are currently available. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's kick on. So, just as we're starting, and I can do this because I used to hate crowd participation when I was younger, so I now have the power to do some of that to you. So can I just have a show of hands of people who are here from the IT side of the business? Okay, and who's here from the business side of the business? Okay, who's not quite sure why they're here, but they wanted to sit down and have a coffee before they started doing something? Okay, appreciate your honesty, it's very good. So, I'm sure, just to make sure that we're talking about the same thing, hands up who has one of these things. Okay, it's good. Found out the other day, a mobile phone, like I just held up, has the same power, same compute power that NASA had when they landed on the moon. Okay, so what that means is, what that's driving for us is a new expectation about how we consume information. Now, I'm just going to finish my last hands in the air, but out of the organizations that you come from, how many of you have more than 5 applications? Keep your hand up. 10 applications. 100 applications. Okay. The average number of applications in an organization that we speak to is over 1,000. Okay? And probably more importantly, so we all understand there's a lot of applications out there. More importantly, when I look for that, the experience that I'm looking for on my device, a transaction typically crosses 35 different systems to deliver that to me. So what does this mean? What is that? Why am I getting excited about that? It's a hard thing to do. What the MuleSoft Anypoint Platform allows you to do is to achieve that connectivity in a much simpler and more accessible and faster way. So, as we know, connectivity is expected everywhere now, whether it's across food, travel, tech. I think we embrace connectivity in our day-to-day lives, but as organizations, we're looking to be able to drive that capability out in a much more consumable way. So as an example, I'm just going to take you through a couple of different scenarios, and then going to tie that back as to how we can improve that experience for you. So up here, we've got the concept of automating payments. If I want to automate a payment, obviously there's a number of different back-end systems that needs to speak to. In our case here, we have some developers who have created a MongoDB database that they're interacting with. We somehow need to get that into Salesforce as well as SAP. Secondly, how do I get data in and out of my environments? And really our goal here is to move away from getting data in and out of environments in a batch mode and moving into much more of a near real-time mode to ensure that we have the right data at the right time surfacing through our different applications. And then finally, and I think this is why the majority of us here today at World Tour, is how do we create new experiences and channels that we haven't been able to do in the past. So I'm going to use those 3 examples to really try and paint a picture for you as to why we believe that the concept of utilizing APIs to deliver a new capability for experiences is really where our goal should be. So I'm going to use the first example of automating payments. So as I mentioned, we've got a MongoDB database sitting out there somewhere that the payment transaction are being punched into. It's a pretty straightforward pattern that I'm going to do to actually update my SAP system. So you can see here, I first of all need to authenticate. I then need to validate some data that's coming into me from the payments that have been made. I probably need to enrich some data by going out to another system. In this case, this is Salesforce. I then need to transform that data depending on what my target system is, and in this case, it is SAP. And so I'm then going to either create a record if it doesn't exist, update a record, or delete a record. So it's a pretty straightforward, vanilla integration pattern. So then when I come along, what we do, we have the concept of a modern API, and a modern API you could talk about it being a building block or a Lego block, or however you choose to quantify it. The idea is here that we have this building block that we start to embed logic into. So in this case here, the service that we're calling out to Salesforce, we're going to embed some logic into there. Once I've embedded some logic into there, I'm then also going to expand and create another API or building block that encompasses both the validation, the enrichment, and the transformation as well. Okay, so again, I now have 2 building blocks. When I then come along to roll out my next project, which is about getting data in and out of Salesforce and syncing data between Salesforce and a database, what can I do? So again, I need to validate, but the goal here is that I can reuse the logic that I've put into my second API to accelerate the delivery of this integration. And that is really what we are all about today. We're about accelerating and promoting reuse so that we're getting to the outcome that we require for the business a lot quicker. So lo and behold, when I then come along and I say, I actually want to add one of my new experience channels to really change the way that I'm taking my business to market, again, I have to authenticate. That's I can't standardize and commoditize that, but I can, again, reuse my APIs to allow me to deliver, again, this new experience and channel as quickly as possible. So just to demonstrate that, again, where you see these highlights come up, this is where we're achieving reuse. Reuse equals speed, time to market, staying in front of your competitors. So again, we're enriching data, we're transforming data, we're validating data, and we're doing that, starting to reuse these. And again, over time, our goal is to build up a catalog of these APIs that I can start to pick and choose and compose my integration flows or my experiences a lot faster than I could before. So to do that, I want to introduce you to, and again, MuleSoft is all about integrating things together. Doing an integration demonstration is a little bit challenging, even though it is 20 to 9 in the morning and you're still pretty awake. It is slightly challenging to do a demonstration that gets people excited about that. So what I'm going to do is actually really take you to one of the key tenets of the MuleSoft Anypoint Platform. I've worked in this space for a long time, and one of the challenges that I continuously see is developers like to create things. Makes them feel happy, makes them feel comfortable, okay? That's fine, but when we tie back to reuse, how do we take these things to market faster? If you're creating something from scratch every time, you're not getting the value and benefit that you see. So really core to the Anypoint platform is something that we call Exchange. And I don't know how many people you hear because you're excited about Salesforce. The easiest way to think about the Anypoint platform is the App Exchange for integration, or the integration, the place to go to find out what integrations are available to me. What we talk about is when I'm starting to build a new API, build a new piece of functionality, what happens is that my default behavior should be go to the Exchange and say, does this exist already? If it does exist already, how much of it can I reuse? So it's all about self-documentation and allowing and promoting a central location for people to go to accelerate the delivery of what they're trying to do. So as an example, we as MuleSoft have created a whole range of different artifacts that we push out there, sorry, my apologies, to really promote what you can do as quickly as possible. So as an example, given that we're here for Salesforce, I'm just going to do a search on Salesforce, and you'll see here that there are a whole range of capabilities out of the box, be them connectors, be them examples, be templates. This is all here waiting for you to start to go and connect into systems to accelerate how we start to unlock and surface data from these systems. If we have a look here, we can see, what templates are available to me. This has been done many times before. So straight away here, you can see there's a whole range of different templates that I can use that we continually create, promote, and push out so that you can accelerate how fast you can achieve these standard patterns that we see from our Salesforce customers. Something else that we promote severely is, again, the experiences that we've had. So as an example, we have the concept of catalysts. So these are accelerators. So if you're in a retail business and you want to get things going as quickly as possible, what do? We take you to here. There's a whole range of documentation around, how do I create a system API that surfaces my customer information? We've got documentation to take you, to help you, again, accelerate how you start to take all this information and deliver capabilities based on your existing environments. And then finally, something that I want to show you is, and this is really key to, again, how do we increase the speed of how we deliver things? So if I have a look here, I'll go into my sales organization. Again, obviously you can break this up so that I don't, as Bill, have access to everything and access to things that I shouldn't have access to. So within my sales business group, I want to see what APIs are available for me to start to think about orders. So I have this order fulfillment API. I can get a view into it. It's documented. I can see where it fits in here to my overall piece. I can see the dependencies that are available. So again, this is, if I may not create a whole API in one go, I want to start to grab fragments and reuse them to accelerate my delivery. Something that's really key here, and we talk about, typically I've got a developer, I want to start creating something. I go and create a contract that says this is what it's going to look like. And then before I can just start developing on that, I need to go and build and connect and so that I'm actually starting to surface data. We have the concept here of a mocking service, and the easiest way to demonstrate that is to show you. So as an example, as a developer, I want to start building out a mobile experience that's starting to take orders from it. So you can see here, I've got code examples, so to get me started quickly. I've got security that I can apply to make sure that these APIs are secured in a standardized way. And just something to show you here as an example, I just need to authorize myself here. When I make this request, what you'll see comes back, I hope, is data. Now this is not real data. This isn't going to a plethora of back-end systems. This is example data that we've embedded into the API so that when I'm calling what we call the mocking service, this allows you to accelerate your delivery. So as a developer, I can start developing against this that's coming back, whilst in parallel, I'm then starting to wire things together and starting to compose APIs together to deliver the data that I need here. So that's all I really wanted to show you from a demonstration point of view. My goal here is to pique your interest so that you go, what did that guy say? I'm not quite sure what he said. I'm going to go over to the MuleSoft booths. There's a lot of my colleagues over there who are ready to sit with you and take you through some of these concepts in a much greater detail. Look for this. If you see someone with this on their shirt, thanks Dan, speak to them. They will help you and they will be as excited as I am about some of the capabilities that we can drive through the Anypoint platform. So, moving on. That was the demonstration that you're going to see. So, I'm going to start to move quite fast now, and again, really just cover off some key concepts. So, one of the things that we promote is we're not just a product that says, here you go, install it, get using it. We promote a methodology as well to achieve the outcome that you're looking for. I'm just going to take you through that very briefly. So we refer to it as API-led connectivity, the idea being that we standardize the way that we interact with different things as an API, and that drives out everything that I've been speaking about so far. So as an example, we've got our systems that sit down on the base here. they have a whole different range of interfaces, whole different data that they're expecting in different formats. We standardize the way we interact with those via what we call a system API, and it's predominantly a REST-based API. On top of that, we start to compose, as you can see here, customer orders. Customer could sit in a number of different places. So how do we standardize how we interact with the customer? As a developer or as someone who is coming along and starting to build this out, I actually don't care where that customer resides, right? That's up to core IT to say, yep, let's start building out these APIs. I just want to provide a single view into my customer, so that I call an API, and that could be bringing information from a whole range of different systems. I don't really care. I just want a single contract to deal with that allows me to interact with my customer. Then once we've done that, that's our process layer, and then moving up, we then have what we refer to as the experience layer. So if you think, easiest example of this, if I'm accessing my customer information over a mobile phone, the depth of data that I'm required to see is very different on a mobile, maybe interested only in 5 or 6 fields. In a desktop, I've got a whole different experience that I'm expecting to view. I may have 50 different pieces of data. So again, this allows us to shape the data that is specific for the experience that we're looking for. And so that's our approach to API-led connectivity. Where we see this moving is that over time, we start to build out an API economy for our organization. Okay, so we spoke about, we got this fellow here who's creating system connections and integrations, and again, publishing those out as standard APIs. We then have someone who's composing those APIs into business or APIs that match a specific domain, okay? So they're reusing some of these systems, but they're also bringing these APIs together. And then finally, we have someone coming along who's starting to build our experiences, and you can see here, there's a level of reuse as to, you know, the system APIs that are being out, I want to interact with those. The composed APIs that are being built out, I want to start to interact with those. And over time, we start to build out what we refer to as an application network. Now, I was speaking to a colleague today, a couple of days ago, and he said to me, application network, I get it, you know, you've got all these things, and over time, you start to push these things out and put them into a catalog. Isn't that just point-to-point integration? Isn't that what we're trying to move away from? And really, the easiest way to describe that is, yes, it almost is point-to-point integration, but with the complexity of the point-to-point integration abstracted away. So the idea being, again, I don't care where this data lives, what it does. I'm interested in reading a standard contract that I can then use to start to tie my applications together. And the idea here is, as you can see here, it's built for change. So if I need to change the way an API is implemented, that should not impact on the overall application network. Okay, so again, if you want to find out more about the application network, how it fits in, please go and see my colleagues in the demo grounds. Everything I've said is nice and it's good, and you know, people hope some of you sitting there going, yeah, that makes sense. The key here, the key differentiator here that the MuleSoft Anypoint Platform brings you is that this has all been brought together and delivered on one unified platform. So if you think about this, the concept of APIs, they're great. There's some complexity associated with that as to how I deliver them. So as an example, how do I design them? How do I have a full life cycle so that from the inception of an API through retiring an API, that's controlled? How do I engage? How do I share? How do I promote reuse, as I spoke about with the brief demonstration I did from an Exchange point of view? How do I run these? How do I scale them? How do I get visibility into how my APIs are performing? Who's using them? Are they being successful? You know, experience APIs are typically very short-lived, given that I stand this up, does it work? No, it doesn't. Rip it down, change it, rinse and repeat, okay? And again, we have this unified platform, we have some people that we're looking to engage with, be them customers, employees, we get new products out of the door, and overall operational efficiency. This is key for us to be successful, and to be successful, we don't want to be bolting these different things together. We need to provide it all from a single unified platform. So again, my final comment around this is, I'm going to show you a couple of things, and tease you, I want you to go and find out more at our demo ground. So the design center, this is where we design APIs, and this is where we allow citizen integrators, people who don't care about the back-end systems as I spoke about, but people who want to come in and start taking these APIs and composing them together into something that can be used to deliver a differentiated experience. Exchange, again, is key to how we share information and how we promote it between our different stakeholders within our organization. I've shown you that. Management center. When I get excited about APIs and the capabilities that they can bring to an organization, my excitement gets tempered when I think about how do I manage them. You're talking about potentially hundreds, thousands of APIs. How do I manage them? How do I make sure that they're performing as they should be? And again, we have the concept of the Anypoint Management Center that provides me visibility into exactly what's happening within my API economy or ecosystem at any particular point in time. So just to finish and wrap things up, I want to speak to you about a customer of ours, ASICS. I'm sure that everyone is aware who ASICS is. What I wasn't aware is that they actually have 7 different brands. Okay, so if you think 7 different brands equals 7 different systems that you need to pull information from, they were looking to roll out an e-commerce system that went across all of these 7 different brands. And again, to map back our approach to API-led connectivity, back to that, you can see here they've got different shipment organizations. They've got order management systems sitting in the US, in the EU. They've got a whole different range of products information. By utilizing APIs, they standardized the way they spoke to their back-end systems, then started to put in process APIs that started to compose these back-end systems together that then allowed them to push that out to either a mobile or a web API in a really simple format. Okay, so just on that, if I could get my fellow at the back there to play the video, 2.5 minutes, this is what ASICS did.
ASICS was established in 1949. Over those years, the company has had to make quite a few different transitions. In the past, it was all about designing the latest model of shoes. Although that continues to be very important for the company, IT has become more and more important. That's one of the reasons that we acquired a company like Runkeeper, so we can provide those digital services to the runner, track their runs, and provide more than just the shoe. We need to constantly be on their minds when they're going out for that run and lacing up their shoes. For a company like ASICS, it really does mean that IT has to come to the forefront. So building out an e-commerce platform is important to us because we need to be able to connect with customers in many different ways. We have quite a few different brands. We have ASICS Performance, we have ASICS Tiger and Onitsuka Tiger. We also have Hagloft, and we have Runkeeper. In order to build a new e-commerce site, we needed to tie in to all of the back-end systems that each one of those brands had already had configured. So MuleSoft has helped us out by being that communication point between the product systems, order management systems, content management systems, and that e-commerce storefront. We were able to build out this new e-commerce platform in under 6 months by using MuleSoft. MuleSoft has been great for our ability to reuse code. One of the ways that we were able to leverage MuleSoft for reuse was with our order management API. So we wanted to connect to the ASICS OMS system. And then as we moved into one of the other ASICS subsidiaries called Haglofts, they had a different OMS that we needed to connect with. So we were able to use the same API that we had set up in MuleSoft to connect to the Hagloft OMS. We're moving 2.5 times faster than we would have expected to if we had built it out of Java. What developers like the most about using MuleSoft is it allows us to spend all of our time in the application-specific logic and not have to worry about making those connections to the various data sources. MuleSoft is helping to drive our e-commerce strategy, and that's going to allow us to move a lot faster as a company.
I hope that solidified and clarified some of the concepts that I've been speaking about today. To wrap things up, there's a whole range of different things that we need to do, whether it's connecting, orchestrating, governing, applying security, all of these different things that we need to think about when we start to drive out a connectivity and API-enabled platform. Again, that's what the MuleSoft Anypoint Platform does. It allows you to connect any application, data, or device based on some principles and a unified platform that allows us to change, that allows us to accelerate, giving you the capability to take your ideas and how you differentiate yourself in the market to market a lot faster. So I will be around the rest of the day. As I mentioned, please head over to the demo grounds. You will see and be able to interact with a whole range of my colleagues who will take you around any path that you want to discuss and speak about. And again, we have the integration keynote at 2 o'clock. I would highly recommend that you get along to that to give you more information around the MuleSoft Anypoint platform and how it can make a difference to your business. So thank you very much for your time today. I know it's 8:30. I don't think I've ever spoken this early in my life, but thank you for taking the time out to listen, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day at World Tour. Thanks very much, everyone.